Thank you for joining me today. Today, I want to talk about spectrum, but from the point of view of an autistic person. I feel it's very important for autistic individuals and parents, friends, lovers of autistic individuals to understand how we fit together. If we can become our own observers, we can manage our space around us. We can learn how to self-regulate and function so as to not be thrown. My name is Margarita, and next to me is Splash. I am a craniosacral practitioner, clinical massage therapist, pain specialist, medical intuitive, and energy healer. I run my own clinic in Hove in the UK, where I support all ages and all illnesses and misalignments, from oncology to autoimmune conditions to grief, anxiety, depression, post-operative. But this is not about me. In theory, the reason this has come about is because I am autistic, I'm dyslexic, I'm a mum of two incredibly amazing humans who are also on the spectrum, and I am married to the most severe ADHD husband that I think most people would ever meet. So what is autism? There are loads of volumes of autism. There's loads of spectrums of autism. And in theory, we as humans, as a race, we are all spectrum and all manifest in different degrees. Living on this planet impacts us differently. But today we're primarily going to focus on spectrum of autism. When I say I'm autistic, many neurotypical individuals respond with everyone is on the spectrum. And yes, that is true to a point. There is no neutral, thank God. It would be very bland. It would be very vanilla, as I call it. However, in an autistic spectrum view, the world is with the volume up. Therefore, it is louder than a neurotypical person, or at least the impact of the loud vibrational resonance strikes and affects our world with many more consequences. We all cope with this reaction differently. Non-verbal autistic individuals might stim or scream or hit, and that is because their volume is louder than a high-functioning person. I have also realized that depending on the environment, teachings, therapies, an autistic child can change in their volume rate. It won't go away, but it can be managed. I will explain this later. Now, I'm not here to talk about what we do, even though this is important. So it's not about staying alone, overthinking, anxiety, and all the different symptoms and manifestations that we tend to have. Sensory issues being one of them, motor skills being another, paranoia, all that kind of stuff. What I want you to do is I want to take you on a journey. So one of my autistic traits is I go down rabbit holes when I hyperfocus. So I study, I read, and I devour subjects that interest me. If I don't find it interesting, it's not going to go in. I find it very hard to focus, and I find it very hard to retain the information. So when I was looking into creating this presentation, I wanted to go back to basics and think, okay, so what is the word spectrum? What is the actual meaning? And I went to the dictionary and said, a band of colors as seen in a rainbow, produced by separation of the components of light by their different degrees of refraction across according to wavelength. The entire range of wavelength of electromagnetic radiation. So we're going to go back, or we're going to go into detail about that in a minute. The other thing that it's stated is electromagnetic radiation emitting or absorbed by a substance. The components of sound or other phenomenon arranged according to such characteristics as frequency, charge, and energy. So what I want you to imagine is the auric field, or the aura, the biofield. There's many different words to describe this. Our body is made of matter. Many people believe or think that the soul sits within our body, that our auric field sits within our body. And yes, it does, but you need to think about it the other way around. Our body sits within our auric field. So we need to start changing the vocabulary of this. Now, I want you to think of the human body as matter, made up of trillions of atoms, primarily oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and other elements like calcium, phosphorus, potassium, etc. Now, all of these atoms form molecules that make up the cell structure and function. I could give a whole lecture on this, so I'm not going to do that. I want to bring it back to basics. If you want to read a little bit further, I have a Substack that I've written in relation to this. But I want you to, let's take it back to basics. And I want you to understand this more as we are magnetic beings. Our heart and our brain has an electromagnetic resonance. That's why MRIs can work and function. Our cerebral spinal fluid has a rhythm that goes through our system and through our central nervous system. Our heart has a rhythm. Our fascia, which is the connective tissue that is throughout our body, has a rhythm. The lymphatic system all have a rhythm. Our chakras have a rhythm. Our meridians have a rhythm. We stay alive due to the sun, and we need energy from the sun to stay alive. So what are we? We are all autistic or not. It doesn't really matter. But in overall, as a human race, we are electric, magnetic, colorful light resonating and vibrating through time and space, continuously changing to the frequency, resonance, vibration, charge, and energy that we emit depending on the internal energy and external field. As we live through life, our degree of refraction in relation to matter, so space, people, animals, nature, objects, is impacted in this and affects our wavelength, our biofield, our auric field. When we birth, and I mean we call it we birth, or I call it we birth because both mother and baby work together, we cross a veil. And during that moment, that split second of a defining moment, lines our auric field. Please be aware that our auric field is not like matter. It's layers and layers and layers and billions of layers that all supposedly are trying to align to balance, but they're in constant flow. They're in constant movement, like the sky full of clouds. It's kind of, if you think of sky and you think of all the layers within the clouds, they have different density, they have different pressure, they have different movements, but they're all one thing. And they're all kind of aligned layer within layer within layer. Now, let me take it back for a moment and bring it back to anatomy. When babies are born, we're always told to be careful about the fontanelle. The fontanelle is the little hole that's at the top of the head. Now, we actually have more than one when we are born. We have 6, and depending on how our panels sit, also depends on how our auric field sits. So when I say panels, I mean bone structures. So the parietal bone, the occipital bone, the frontal bone, all of these are kind of pieces that puzzle together when we are born. And as we grow, they start kind of suturing together. Now, this is an adult image, whereas the previous image is the size of the baby's skull. You can see the difference between the face and the jaw. Now, this is how, in theory, an adult skull should look like, and all the pieces are fused together by sutures, but they're not fused because there is movement. There has to be movement. It has its own capillary system within the sutures. The movement is very minor because it just needs to allow the brain to pulse. So as the brain pulses, the sutures are able to have minimum, millimeter movements. Now, the brain sits in spinal fluid and it's continuously cleaning itself, and the spinal fluid goes down your spinal cord and into your central nervous system. The brain sits on what I would call a diaphragm, and the whole skull, if you look at the different colors in this image, the whole skull has different bone structures, and we're literally like a puzzle. We're put together as a puzzle. If you look at the image on the right, all the different colors are different bones that sit together. And I have noticed on myself, my children, and patients that are an autistic head, the cranium on an autistic head has these sutures are different. They're not the same as neurotypical individuals. There may be slight gaps because you feel the ridges more. There may be sort of lumped together. So if they're lumped together at the top, then that means that below they'll be slightly more open. So I feel and believe that due to how we are not aligned properly in our body, we have a sensory advancement within our biofield. And I call it an advancement because I hate the name sensory disorder. It's only a disorder when it impacts you and others negatively. If we can learn to use it, then it's like a superhero's magic. The reason we have sensory advancement is due to our layers are thinner within the matter, within our body. So like mist at sea, we feel the wind, the resonance of the vibration of the room, the people, the space, unlike neurotypical people. If we're in a crowded room, it's not just the noise, but everyone and everything vibrating and having a vibrational field bouncing off us. And because we're not grounded, it is literally like the mist moving within the gust of wind. I want you to think of when you enter a party or a room full of people, you can gauge the space and sense if the room is friendly or not. This is because we are all like spinning plates spinning at a vibrational resonance. Now, sometimes when someone with a different vibrational resonance enters the room, we get impacted just like a spinning plate. So imagine a room full of spinning plates and you put a new spinning plate at a different rhythm to the room. That would impact all the individuals or all the spinning plates within the room. The ones that are closest to that spinning plate that's spinning differently will either wobble and fall, which will impact all of them, or will cause the entire room to start resonating and vibrating, i.e. spinning at a different pace. So now I will read the statement of spectrum again, depending on internal energy and external field. No, that's not how I should have done it. I need to edit that. So no, that's not right. Depending on internal energy and external field. Electromagnetic, colorful light resonating and vibrating through time and space, continuously changing to the frequency, resonance, vibration, charge, and energy that we emit depending on the internal energy and the external field. As we live through life, our degree of refraction in relation to matter is impacted and affects our wavelength. So when it says depending on internal energy and external field, what does that mean? Basically, depending on our see-throughness, depending on the impact of our space. Ironically, autistic people love being see-through. We love being in the cosmos and find it very difficult to be embodied. And what I mean by see-through is we don't like to be matter. We don't like to be within the grounding and within our bodies. We feel it's suffocating. And some of us don't know how to do it. And that brings anxiety because that causes more dysregulation. Many autistic people have eating disorders or body dysmorphia due to this conflict. And if you're into chakras, autistic people tend to be in the upper ones and neurotypical people tend to be in the lower ones. Now, there is no better or worse. Currently in the social media, everyone wants to have the upper chakras and be, sort of enlightened and go up. However, we need all of them to be aligned for us to not only truly be present, but also function optimally. We as autistic people use stimming, we hyperfocus, we do repetition, we make sounds, we have tics and twitches. All of this is to regulate as well as to feel embodied. We actually love the sensations of this stimming. However, sometimes the stimming can be extreme because we are dysregulated. So that's us trying to literally feel our bodies because the outside, the thin space of us, the atoms that are too far out from our field, from our body, is too much and we are becoming dysregulated. So by feeling and stimming or combining all in one causes us to block the space around us and try and center. So one of the things that tends to happen to us, whether it's dysregulation or whether you are hyper-focusing and really, really enjoying life, both can cause sensory overload and excess adrenaline, excess cortisol, and burnout. This is because basically we overload our system. Hyper-focusing can be amazing, but then on top of that, it's just too much. So, as everyone says, everything needs to be balanced. The hyperfocus can come at a cost, and the sensory overload can also impact us. And both tend to cause burnout. And burnout is when we are exhausted, when all we want to do is hide, when all we want to do is sleep, when we just want to, sit in a little cave if you're a little child. It comes with tears, tantrums, meltdowns, you name it, it brings the whole caboodle down. It's just all too much, to be honest. So one of the things that is important is to be aware when there is an overload happening, even if it's positive, even if you're hyper-focusing. If you're doing too much and you're losing the focus of the space around you, then you're going to hit burnout. And burnout not only comes with exhaustion and tears and temper tantrums, but it can also come with illness. It can come with autoimmune conditions. It can come with ME. It can come with fibromyalgia. So I have found various ways to support me and my family and patients, and grounding is one of them. Grounding is really, really important, but it's how we go about doing it, which I'll teach you later, but it's not done like neurotypical people. Now, allowing people to stim in a positive manner is a great way. Allowing an autistic person to, when they're asking to be stroked or to be massaged or being held or having compression, that's also a great way to self-regulate or help somebody regulate. And I think the main thing as a parent and an autistic person that didn't have a parent that understood autism is you need to understand our language, what makes us dysregulate and what makes us regulate. There is nothing wrong with us. And yes, we do love, we do care, and we do want to connect. But our language needs to be understood, as we're not so much matter. We are resonating vibrational beings trying to interact in the world full of energy bouncing off us. So don't tell us to fit in, but just show us how to understand ourselves and how to understand you. If you talk us through things, if you explain things, that yes, that might be very exhausting, but if you can explain things to us, and you explain what you want from us and why you want it from us, and you do it from your heart and from honesty, then you'll get us to work with you. If you tell us to do things just because, or just because I am your mother, therefore you have to, or because you are embarrassed by your environment and other people's reactions to your person, and that's on you, that's not on us. We need to learn each other's dance and listen to the music of our soul to weave the understanding of the layers of our ways. You are the earth, we are the cosmos. Together we are one. You are water, we are air. Let's find the flow in our freedom and in your embodiment. We need to learn each other's dance and listen to the music of our soul to weave the understanding of the layers of our ways. Now, on social media and in the world at the moment, everyone wants to go up. We are already there and we need to go down. So teach us how to be embodied and we will teach you how to go up. Thank you all.